Hello, Sherwood families. My name is Lauren Eddleman. I am new to the team this year and I currently teach fifth grade. However, I chose this particular topic for our video tutoring session because I feel like it can be applied to any of our kiddos who have left that learning to read phase and entered the next phase of reading to learn. This can be a particularly challenging phase for parents because at this phase, a lot of times kids are starting to read more independently, and it can be really challenging to know kind of where you fit in terms of how you can help and what you need to be doing at this phase. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what comes next. So once your kids enter this reading to learn phase, we have to get them talking about the text that they're reading. They have to be able to talk and discuss these texts. So I've provided a resource for us to go through today that allows you to kind of see what kind of questions you can be asking your kiddos about the text, where to start, and where we want the kiddos to go. We want them to get to those higher level thinking skills where they're able to not just talk and discuss the text, but be able to make inferences and be able to compare and contrast, state a claim, and then support it with text evidence. And these questions that we'll go over that you can use to ask your kiddo about, these can be really helpful in getting your kids talking about the text so they are ready to be at that level to use those higher level thinking skills and give us what we're looking for here. So I know you might be thinking, well, if my kid is reading independently now, how am I supposed to help them with a text that I'm not reading with them? And before we start, I do want to say, your kiddo is never too old to read to you or never too old to be read to. But realistically, I understand that at this phase, they are doing more independent reading, and it can be challenging. So that's specifically why I picked this topic to go over with you. The resource that I did pick, it is specifically related to compare and contrast, which is something that you can absolutely do if you're feeling ready. But I'm going to focus kind of just on the basics. And then if you feel ready to take it to that level, great. And if not, you can kind of just stick with what we go over today. Now, I do want to say, you might be thinking also, well, if I'm not reading the text, how am I going to know? If you're not feeling quite comfortable jumping in just yet with a text that you haven't read, that's fine. You can start with these same questions and discuss a favorite family movie or discuss a favorite family TV show that you watch, just to kind of see, is my kid responding to these types of questions? Are they able to pick up information and be able to kind of spit it back at me from what I'm asking? And so that might be a good place to start. But would it be great if you had read the text? Sure, could be helpful, but it's not necessary. You can still ask these questions. You can still be involved. And so I just wanted to share this with you so that way you feel like you kind of know what comes next and what you can do about it. So we're going to jump right in here and start very basic. So talking about the text, we need kids to be able to talk about those basic story elements, character, setting, and plot. So again, you could see how if you have not read the book your child is reading, how you could start with a movie or a video that you like, a TV show you're watching, and just talk about who's in the story and the setting and then the plot. In early elementary, plot kind of focuses on beginning, middle, and end. As they enter the upper elementary years, we do really want them to be able to identify problem and solution, or what we might call conflict and resolution, and then ultimately a theme. I'm going to skip over the next slide here, but if you're interested in taking it to that next level and doing some compare and contrast, feel free to pause and come back to the slides that you're interested in, or if you need to come back and take a look, because we are going to move kind of quickly. So again, each of these slides is going to have a pretty heavy emphasis on compare and contrast, but what we're going to focus on is this right side of each of the slides. And so you can see here, when we're talking about characters, we want our kiddos to be able to go from a surface level, which would be physical traits, just kind of who is the character? What's their name? Are they a girl? Are they a boy? Do they have wild, crazy hair? And then we want to take it to the next level. So you can see, if your kiddo is able to give you those physical traits, ask them some questions about the personality traits. What kind of character is it? And you can always ask follow-up questions as well. So if they tell you, say the character is brave, well, why? How do you know that? Is that because it said so exactly in the text, or was it language choices that they used, or things that happened that led you to believe that they were brave? And then we'll just continue to take it deeper and deeper. So what else about that character? What are their interests, their hobbies, things they like and dislike? And then here at the bottom, you can see where it really gets to that deeper level, where we're actually asking the kiddos to take what they know about the character and relate it to the plot. So the reactions of the character to the problems and challenges. So these are some guiding questions you can use to ask your kiddo about the text, and we're looking for them to go from that surface level to that much deeper level analysis. Moving on to settings here, and again, starting with a very basic physical environments. Where did this take place? Home, school, summer camp? Was it during the day, at night? Was it over a week or two, summer, fall? But then we want them to be able to dig a little deeper. Not just where did this take place, but what actions and activities happened at these places. And then this one is a great one, the atmosphere or mood. This one is so wonderful because it really oftentimes requires them to make some of those inferences based on language choices in the text. So, was it a cheerful mood? Was it a very ominous mood? And how did you know that? Was it explicitly stated in the text, or were there language choices that led you to believe that the mood was very cheerful, things like that. And then looking at the purposes of these different settings. And then here at the end, that nice, deep level, higher level thinking of connecting the characters to the setting. How did these characters respond or react within the different settings? And especially if there's multiple settings, that can be a great one to kind of talk about, did the character's response change based on the setting? And so again, just start with those basics and work your way down. And the one wonderful thing I want to mention about this is, if at first your child is struggling to get past that surface level, don't be discouraged. Just asking them some of these deeper level questions, even if at first they're not able to quite answer them yet, will get them thinking about that. It'll get it in their mind. So that way, when they are reading in the future, they'll be thinking about these things. What is the mood of the story? And where can I find that? What evidence leads me to believe what the mood or atmosphere is? So again, if you're at first you're feeling like, oh, well, we're not getting past that surface level, don't stress. Just keep asking the questions, and they'll get there. So looking at this last one for plots. So as I mentioned, the kind of surface level, what were the problems or challenges in the story? But then we want them to keep thinking, keep going, keep talking about it. Within those problems or challenges, can you tell me what the cause is, or the impact or effects of these problems? And then these last ones here are those nice higher level thinking, where they have to make connections. They have to not just think about the plot, they have to think about how the characters respond and react within the plot. So what were the characters' attempts to find a solution for the problem? Were they successful? Did they fail? So these are, again, start at the top, work your way down, see what your kiddo can answer, and then just keep encouraging them. Hey, next chapter you read, maybe be looking for, did the character try to solve a problem, and how did that go? And that can help kind of open their minds and their eyes when they're reading to pick out these things. So even if at first we're not quite getting to those, third or fourth bullet points, keep asking the questions, and they'll get there. And then, as I mentioned, each of the slides does have that compare and contrast on there. So if you're feeling like, wow, my kiddo is just doing great, they're able to really give me a lot about the text, we can talk about it, they can discuss it, they can support it with evidence, then, by all means, please go back and take a look at the compare and contrast. And you can do it within one story. You can do it within multiple stories. You can compare a text to a favorite movie. These are all skills that your kiddos are going to be able to be your kiddos are going to be asked to do during this reading to learn phase. This last slide here that I want to show you, or actually I think there's two more, but this slide right here kind of gives you some examples. If you're trying to judge whether or not you're getting a surface level response or a deeper level response, here you can kind of see what in a question about characters might be surface level versus what might be kind of that deeper level connection to the text. So this will kind of help you judge, are we still in the surface level, or have we moved into that deeper level analysis? So again, feel free to pause and take a look at it. And, that way you can make a good judgment on whether or not you feel like you're still at that surface level or you're getting to that deeper level. And then this last slide here is if you do feel like you're just rocking through those analysis questions on character setting and plot, and your kiddo's ready for the next step, and you want to do some compare and contrast, these are some things that you can always try to compare and contrast within a story or multiple stories. Maybe compare this story to the story you just finished. But things that you can compare and contrast might be the characters, the setting, themes of stories. So not just, what's happening in the story, but the overall theme. You can compare and contrast patterns of events, different problems, solutions, perspectives, and point of view. And then again, that character's responses to challenges. And these are just, turn it into a question. Can you compare and contrast the characters in the story? Can you compare and contrast the problems in this story to the movie we just watched? So I hope this has been really helpful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. But thank you for being involved in your kiddos' literacy education. It is going to make a huge difference, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.